This exercise is a listening hands, push hand. What's the idea? The idea is to get a sense of feeling from your partner. If I go too soft, or I'm just providing no movement, there's not even any contact, then what ends up happening is that Andrew has too little to feel. If I resist too much, then it just becomes a muscular. It's the old story that the stronger I grab, the more his neurons are saying, dull down, this could be painful. But if I barely touch, the neurons fire. But with this sort of exercise, I can't have that level of contact. That, and virtually, because if I do, it's too little, I'll be slipping off. So you can't get that sort of feather-like touch to get that sense. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to use our senses, and in this case the sense of touch, to sense a change in direction. So what I need to do with a listening hands is provide a reasonable amount of resistance without being hard. Because now it has to be enough so that the nerves aren't dulled, and so that when he starts to do that move, I can redirect to knowing without any priming. And you notice here I'm going to telegraph a bit if I do that. Andrew knows it's coming. But if I now don't telegraph, and that's not any faster, Andrew did it fast because it was untelegraphed. Yeah? Untelegraphed yours. Hard for me. Again. If I listen, there, the body just goes, oh, okay, no problem. And you notice something else. With this movement, when he pushes, so he telegraphed it, so no telegraph. I don't oppose it with force. To redirect something, you don't want to do this. Bang. There's this big theory about blocks. It's not blocks, it's deflections or parries or interceptions. If I do anything in the martial arts where I bang it to the side, what will happen is I will be punishing that arm. If you want to hit someone's arms, go for it. I think it's better targets, but it's possible. But don't think that that's an effective deflection, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to deflect a force. This is all about deflection. Push suddenly without warning. You notice he barely realizes. Man. By the time he's missed, it's confusion. So if he punches, if I do a hard bang, then he'll hurt. But if he punches, yeah, that's very different. Punch with the other hand. Punch. Notice how I use my body as well. People think it's all just arms. The moment you use arms, it has to be physical. But if I use my body, yeah, all of a sudden. So deflection, this way. Resist, of course, when different. You notice the problem that Andrew has once he's been deflected softly, as I invited him to resist, is that he was already off because he was in a moment of confusion. But if I bang the arm, he immediately knows it's gone wrong. Bang, it's gone wrong. He gets feedback. This listening hands is about learning feedback. And your deflections which come out of this is the interesting part. Watch this. That's this. There's barely any there's barely any force. And that's me actually accidentally thinking the palm. He can do multiple attacks. But you notice, I can deflect forever, and eventually he'll get me. So I have to immediately counter. This is the important part of that. Try and get a curve We're going to talk about the circles of your arm later. The circle of your arm is kind of irrelevant with this exercise. It's relevant, but not to what we want. We want that turn of the arm. Because there are two types of deflection. One where you use a circle, or using a circle of the arm, and one where you use the circle of the forearm, or down. So I can use a circle of the forearm, or I can use the circle of the arm, or I can combine the two. Yeah? Two. Let's not get it too complicated. Right now we're working on the circle of the forearm. We'll work on the circle of the arm in a second. This is a circle, but I'm not going to rely on this circle. But if I did rely on this circle just on its own, it would be this. You notice there? Very, very, almost no. And this, for those who know karate, occurs in, notice that? For those who know Sanseru, for example. So there are lots of reasons why you have to use the arm. All I want the arms with this exercise is a perfect circle. Let's try it again. 1, 2. If I go on my own, notice I turn the arms. There. Okay. People have asked me, can they learn remotely? Here's the problem with any remote learning. We can do these movements on our own. But it's not until you go with a partner that you know whether you're doing it correctly and whether Andrew's going to do this, whether it becomes a deflection or whether it's a bang, it's a bang. Now, the problem with that is most people think this is easy. Oh, I'll just soften it up a bit. No. He softens it up a bit and it gets through. And it gets through in a nastiest way. So doing soft is hard. Soft techniques are hard. They're not easy. They take years of practice. And one of the things you need to do to learn soft technique is do that with a partner. If you don't do it with a partner, you're left with arm waving. It's like swimming without a pool. You can learn these are the strokes, but it doesn't mean anything until you feel the resistance of the water. It doesn't mean you have to get into fights to learn correct form for the internal arts, which are mostly about health. But if you want to learn the correct form, which happens to be useful in self-defense, if you wanted to go that road, if you want to learn correct form, you need to have a partner. This is vital. Turning too soon. I'll go on the outside. Turn. 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 Now all I have there is a straight. We were talking before about not contacting. If I turn so that it turns on point of impact, I then have maximized the force for doing damage to that spot. It's a bit like, okay, I've got a hammer, and I've gone, okay, bang, because I want the hammer to hit there. I don't want the hammer to hit a glancing blow. I want to do bang. So here, bang. That's not good. Not for what we want. Because we're working at deflecting at angles, it's like gears meshing. When you change gears with a manual transmission. I mean, it's very easy with automatic because it times it all. But here, it's important, if we're doing this exercise, for me to turn at that point. So it's the point of transition. So I want the gears to mesh. If he's punching, let's show again. You'll notice I want that angle to be, and if it's this way, do this one, punch hard. And you notice I use my body as well because I'm done. I'm not going to just let my one arm do it. I'm going to use that body as well. And from there, okay. So wherever you see this in karate, you can see this. People go, oh, I don't know, this is a strike. They're trying to find a reason because they're always timing it to go smack, smack. No, it's contact is on the back of the eye. Contact initially, then it starts to turn. So the moment there's contact, it then starts to turn. So you have that transition. And that is what makes it easy. And that's what makes it effective. Because you have two bones. If you use just a thin little bone, it'll snap. Particularly with a kick. No. It is bang there, not there. Or bang there. That's another one. So you can do, depending which way you're doing it. But there, notice, if you're doing basic karate, there's this movement. That's the point. The two flat bones are hitting, contact, and then there's turn. And then it becomes, notice there's a deflection. Hit very hard. You're not having to absorb all the force on one little tiny area. You're not increasing the pressure there. And that means you are distributing the force of the impact. So any impact that's coming your way has to be designed to be diffused. This is the whole point. And it underlies the correctness, going back to the internals, which we're practicing today. It underlies the correctness of the movement. So for instance, in Tai Chi, we have this movement, which we'll do a bit later, where we've gone, there. So what is this movement? It is, and it looks easy, but it's got to be, you've got to remember that is pinpoint. It relies on the hitting with a flat and then turning. If I turn too soon, this way, it's not good. I'm not only hitting with the inside bone, which is very weak, and I'll get clobbered, but also if he has a slight hook in his arm, he's going to hit me with it really badly, it's just going to encourage it onto my face. Okay, bang. Whereas what I want to do is I want to actually lift it. So you can see that lift. So he can have quite a hook to his arm, and you notice it still deflects. Even though it's coming around, and that's the movement. Yeah. Okay. So turn at the point after you've had contact. So now we get back to this drill here. Now I've already started to turn because the contact was felt sooner, and we're starting to turn now. And on my side, now. So when I pass the midline is when I turn. Turn, midline, midline, midline. Now, I'm going to be turning sooner because I'm at the midline. Andrew is turning now. Okay, practice with that in mind, please. Okay, go on this side. I want to push now. Not turn too much. Be thrown off. And the arms don't just go back to here, because that's useless. Even if I turn my body, it doesn't work. I want to have this curve in the shoulder, so that, you have, again, the same principle we talked about before, that curve, and the gears meshing. In this case, comes back like a wave. There you go. Up and down. Again. Up. Once again, Andrew. So, we were saying before, that circle, up and down. It's fine to go across if you're just using the torque, but when it could work very well with a straight punch, okay, especially if I use my body. But if it's got any element of hook, then I'm trying to get from the side, and it's going to smash it. So now I have to use 3 dimensions, and that will work perfectly. or not perfectly, but if you do it perfectly, it works well. That means you're coming up and down. It has to go above your eyes, just above your eyes, to deal with the hook, a bit more hook. Now, you can see he's doing a fairly big swing, and yet it's still deflecting. Hardy punch. Bang. And the hardy punches, the more effective actually is if you get the angle right. So we're not only dealing with the turn, correct torquing, the correct meshing of the gears with the arm, we're also getting the right angle of the arm to work together. Sometimes people get confused. They go, oh, I'm learning in karate. Well, I've heard my previous school, we did both the arm and the turning and the angle. And you go, okay, why are you still clashing with me and the gears are not? Let's just deal with the angle. So you'll notice there's this movement where we do this in Tai Chi. That's this movement. They call it hiki or kake karate. It's just the angle. The angle is sometimes all you need. We'll get onto that. Let's try it.